Clemson's place in all that going on with
college? Yeah, I mean, it's a lot going on, man, for sure, and certainly appreciate your question on that. I mean, it's obviously there's the administrators they got a lot happening out there. I mean, it's really my job is get the team ready to play. I mean, that's my job. And my job is I don't get caught up in all that stuff. I mean, honestly, it's just the next domino to where it's all going. I mean, it just is what it is. I don't know if it's going to be this year, or mid-season, or next year, or 3 years from now, but eventually we're going to have I don't know what the number is. It'll be 40, 50, 54 teams, something like that, and it's going to be a 14, 16 team playoff type of deal. That's where it's going to be, and it's going to be whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the league's going to be called or what the divisions or whatever, but that's where it's going to go eventually. So, there just seems to be these steps going there. There's obviously a lot of narratives and things like that, and obviously, from a lot of conversation about our league and TV contracts and things like that. And listen, those things are important. Obviously, that's what administrators do. They plan. Our president, we got a great president, and people are always evaluating the landscape. Things change. Just wait till next week. Something's going to be different, right? That's kind of where college football is right now. But at the end of the day, we spend a lot of time focusing on what we don't have. But I focus on what we do have. And, we've got I think we get 85 scholarships. And as long as we get those 85 scholarships, we're going to be awesome here at Clemson. There's a lot of talk, and again, not to minimize those things because there's long-term implications of things, and it's very important competitively and things like that. You don't want to minimize those things, but I'm going on my 15th year here, and so there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of narratives, but guess what? It really hadn't changed a whole lot since it was 15 years ago. I mean, from my perspective. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. And that's the administrators and all that. They got jobs to do. But from my perspective, my job is to take what we got and go beat what they got. And honestly, in my 15 years, there's always been a gap. We've never had the top TV contract. Ever. I think from an athletic budget standpoint, I think in my time here at Clemson, we've been somewhere, I think we were 17 this year. We've been somewhere from 17 to 40, depending on the year. I think that's where we've been. You guys that follow us, y'all know we've never had a number one recruiting class. We usually are somewhere around 8 to 14 or so. That's usually where we always are. And so, again, not to minimize those things, the conversation of those things, but, man, I don't control any of that. And it's a complete waste of my time to worry about that. My focus is on Clemson. My focus is, and it's always been that way. And again, what do we have? It's been that way from day one. And listen, if it was, and those things are important, but they're not the end-all, be-all. There's always been a gap here at Clemson. There's never been a year that I've been here that there hasn't been this gap. And so the other thing we have at Clemson is we have IPTAY, the greatest athletic fundraising organization in the country. We have incredibly passionate fans. All right, we have a brand that is second to none. We may not have the big market, but just check the TV ratings when the Tigers play over the last decade. You're going to see 4 or 5 of the most viewed games in college football have going to be Clemson. So, but all these years, I mean, when we played LSU in 2012, guess what? We didn't have the same TV contract. We definitely didn't have the same athletic budget. We didn't have the same amount of 5 stars and 4 stars. But you still got to play the game, right? If it was just those things, well, then it would be easy to declare a winner every single year. You still have to play the game. You still have to – it's still people. It's still culture. It's still, getting a group of people with a singleness of purpose, one heartbeat, that love each other, love where they are, and love what they do. It still comes down to those things. None of that stuff changes. And so, I have no idea what the future holds. I have no idea. But I do know that man, Clemson is a special place. And it's going to always be a special place. And, you know, whatever administrators decide, my job is to go put a football team together and go win. We're 3-1 against Ohio State. We will never have an equal alumni base to Ohio State. You know, I mean, one of the greatest programs in the country. You know, we certainly don't have the same budget or whatever, but we've been able to compete, and we always have. So again, that doesn't minimize the importance of, you know, what's going on in the league and what's going on in the landscape of college football. I know there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of narratives, there's a lot of things that are out there. And I appreciate your question, but I don't control any of that. All right, what I control is going out there at practice today and freaking getting ready to try to win the opener, and getting 85 scholarship guys in a group of 135 total, you know, on one heartbeat with a singleness of purpose, you know, completely committed, you know, day in and day out to being and doing our best. You know, that's what I focus. And whatever we have, loading it up and go see if we can beat whoever we play and what they got. And, you know, we've won 2 national championships and against one of the greatest organizations in the history of college football. And in neither one of those games did we have the same amount of 5 stars and 4 stars. Neither one of those games did we have the same TV contract. Neither one of those games did we have the same athletic budget. All right? So, again, I know there's a business side of it, and I understand the longevity and the long term, but that's what the administrators do. So, you know, I mean, I'm not going to come in here every week and answer questions about, Lord, you know, we need to have good practice today. And that's the best way I can answer your question. And it's just focus on what we control. And these guys, man, you know, got to go play the game. We got 85 scholarships. As long as we got that, there are going to be a bunch of great football players that come play for the Tigers. And we'll see what happens.